show me the way. Show me the way home. Just a man, so wonderful. Thought this world could offer so much more. Well, I've been traveling.
Hello. Welcome back to the Slackline Quote of the Day edition. We are headed into week 2 of these daily casts. You are here with the boss.
The boss is coming.
That's a made-up, dumb fairy tale name, you.
We are chatting, quotes, famous quotes, quotes from people I hear on the street, quotes from friends that I find interesting, whatever. Anything that kind of sparks my my brain to have a rant. I hope everybody tuned in last night to the big Slackline. I posted the newest episode with Jordan Vasquez and Ken Dressen, and as always, my lovely co-host, lovely mustachioed co-host, JWoww. And that was a fun segment. We chatted quite a bit about aliens and U.S. politics and doomsday theories and just stupid stuff like that. So check that out. Everything's up on YouTube and iTunes. Follow us on Instagram at the.slack.line. Just got a Twitter all set up. That is at slackline_radio. That is us on Twitter. Hope I'll be active there. I'm not really sure how Twitter works. I don't really like Twitter. I need to pay somebody, or somebody can do it for free. I need somebody to be on the Twitter for me. We'll see if JWoww wants to do that. We are talking quotes today. Greg, who's bringing us to the listeners today? Who's our sponsor? We got a very generous sponsor today. Friedrich Nietzsche's Love and or Madness Potion. Side effects depend entirely on another person's undeterminable feelings for you. That is Friedrich Nietzsche's Love and or Madness Potion. That's pretty right on point with our quote today. Greg seems to be nailing all of these sponsors for our quotes. We will get to the quote for the day. Here is the quote. There is always some madness in love, but there is also always some reason in madness. That is Friedrich Nietzsche. He is a German philosopher, father of nihilism, which is a philosophy of life has no meaning. So he has a kind of a bleak outlook on life, which makes this quote pretty interesting, and kind of, sadder than it is in my mind. If you think about what nihilism is, and that life has no meaning, life is chaos, you're here for this short blip of time, and even humanity is here for this short blip of time. So even if something you do affects humanity, it ultimately has no effect. It's just, it's a pretty bleak outlook on life. So, but it plays back into this idea that there is madness in love, because the idea of love itself is this feeling that we don't really understand, and it can consume us, it can drive us crazy. But there is also some reason in madness, and the reason in madness, according to nihilism, is that if life has no meaning, if people have no meaning, then we seek meaning through, religion or family or goals or love, or maybe all of it. And if the view is that there's no meaning and everything is chaos, those pursuits are ultimately unreasonable or madness, right? And so that's not to say that wanting family and those that wanting those things is madness, family and success and love, like wanting those things isn't madness, but seeking meaning through them, according to nihilism, would be madness. The reason this quote hit me is because I do think that there's madness in love, but I think that's kind of the beautiful part of love. I think that the beautiful part of love is that we don't understand it. it's this unknown feeling between two people that I think both people feel, whether or not they end up being together or not. And it's just kind of a recognition of hey, we're on the same page, and you can feel it. You don't know what it is, and it's these feelings of intrigue and attraction and like-mindedness and just just somebody that challenges you, like whatever your thoughts on love is. Like, it's all of these things kind of bundled up into one ball of emotion that we're not really sure how to explain, and we call it love. And so there's madness in what this thing is, and there's also madness in our pursuit in it, as far as what we're willing to do, or say. I know that I've said crazy and dumb things when I've been in love with people, that I look back on and go, like, dude, why? Why did you say that? Like, that was the dumbest, stupid thing you could have said at that moment. And I don't judge people for what they do or say while in a state of love, especially if that love is causing them distress. I had an ex-girlfriend who, the beginning of our relationship was kind of up and down and rocky. We breaking up, not breaking up, whatever. And I remember her going crazy at one point and kind of just, saying a bunch of stuff that was pretty offside. And in hindsight, it was like, well, I wasn't even really mad at her at the time, because it was like, well, I see that you're crazy about me. Like, there's a reason that term is that way. When somebody's crazy about you, it's true. Like, you'll do and say things you never thought you would or could, both good and bad. And again, like, I try not to judge what comes out of people's mouths or the things that they do when they're in love, beyond a certain point, obviously. I don't think that you can be in love with people that you've never met or anything like that. But I do think that you can be in love with people that you've never, like, actually been together with. People that people that are in your life that, just never end up happening for whatever reason. So I guess I take more of an existentialist point of view on love. And existentialism is the idea that, yeah, life has no meaning, but we can give it meaning by, pursuing these things. John Paul Sartre argued that, yeah, like, life has no meaning, so you can only give it meaning by living authentically, by embracing absurdity, by doing what feels right for you at that moment, following your instinct, because that's the only way that you can really guide yourself. There is no, this was in the breakdown of religion and God, and science was kind of breaking these things down. So people started arguing, well, where is morality? Where is our centered morality? And so this came from, it's in yourselves. It's in us. Again, we can only live authentically, like, by embracing absurdity, by embracing these things that we pursue for, no real rational reason other than it makes us feel good. Embrace that and do it, because life has no meaning otherwise. So you might as well pursue these absurdities, these crazy things, these madnesses. One of which is love. And wait, is that the original YOLO? Like early 20th century YOLO? From John Paul Sartre. He's the original YOLO. So we have to kind of go with the flow of this madness to embrace love or even find love. Because in order to find love, like, you actually have to put yourself out there, right? Like, that is an act of absurdity. When you think about it, when you really break it down to the base level of it, something as simple as swiping right on Tinder to actually going and asking somebody out in person. Like, you have to take that step, and that step assumes that or that step puts aside all other much more likely possibilities that that you will not end up with this person ultimately. The likelihood that they don't even want you to have their phone number, the likelihood that that they lose interest in you within like a few days or a few months, the more likelihood that maybe you date but it fizzles out anyways. Even half of marriages end before they're done. Like, so the idea of pursuing this like life partner, this love that checks off all these boxes, that meets all these um unknown requirements that we have for people. Like, that's the thing, is we have our checklists, but we don't know what are on our checklists until something clicks that either makes us go like, oh, or oh, uh yeah, that's not going to work. Like, so we put all those things aside to take a chance on somebody that you find interesting, again, for some reason. Like, you don't know why this person is piquing your interest, because the world is full of people that we're attracted to. It's not just attraction. It's not just physical attraction. Especially when we're talking about love. Like, when you first see somebody that you end up being in love with, like, when you look back on it, it's a different thing. It's a different meeting. Even if that meeting is from across a room and you kind of see each other, like, it's a different sort of meeting than when it's just, oh, that person's really hot. Like, that's a different look. But we don't know what that is. Even the person giving that look doesn't know what that is. They don't know that they're giving that look. And you don't know what look you're returning to them that's making them fall for you. We can't go back and watch tape on our lives and be like, oh yeah, that's why she fell in love with me. Like, that would be great. We can go back through our memories and think about, things we could, or things we did, or didn't do, or should have done, or whatever, to try and learn from them in the future after things fall apart. But like, that's the only kind of rational academic thing you can take from a venture through love, because everything else is just pure raw emotion that makes no sense, and how you react to it makes no sense. And so it can freak us out. It really does freak us out sometimes. And it freaks you out too when you feel it. Like I said, you feel it right away with people. And so when you're not actually pursuing something like that, when you don't feel like you're in a space where you can, give time to somebody with love, and with like a proper relationship and that type of thing, and then you meet somebody and you feel that different sort of attraction, attraction to their personality, and attraction to who they are, and what they're interested in, and all that type of shit. When you feel that again, and you're not in that space, it really, like, it makes people run, right? And that's what ultimately kind of leads to the like dating scene, I think, being kind of a whirlwind of people like ghosting, and people kind of running away from feelings, people like, and people not pursuing things that ultimately seem good, but are, for what, like, it's not a bad thing. For whatever reason, they're not in a place for it. But you're still drawn to those types of scenarios because they're not common. And you don't want to miss them, and they're not common when you've gone through them a couple times. Like, it's not like it's a yearly thing that you just fall in love every year, or every person that you meet is somebody that you love. Like, it just doesn't work that way. Even if you're people that say it to each other, like, something like that is always it's a tough one. I remember having an ex tell me that she loved me before I was comfortable saying that back to her. It's not that I didn't like her, and I ended up loving her, and we dated for a long time, but like, at that time she felt it, and I was feeling it, but I wasn't comfortable enough. I didn't want to lie to her and tell her that I loved her when I didn't actually feel that right at that moment. But I did. I lied to her. I told her that I loved her. And that's not good, but I didn't want to lose her. And I thought that if I didn't return that she would be lost. And looking back on it, like I said, we ended up dating for a long time, and I did love her. And so that lie turns out to be good. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't have mattered if I had told her the truth. She would probably say that it wouldn't have, but who even knows if that's the truth? She doesn't even know if that's the truth, because again, that would have been a reaction in a moment of pure vulnerability, of pure, madness. And there's no telling how she would have reacted to me saying, I just can't tell you that. I just can't say that to you right now. There definitely would have been tears, I would think. So, yeah, you can't really look back and kind of even judge yourself about what you would or could have done in different moments. I mean, you can definitely say what you should have done. But at that moment, I mean, you can't react differently because your reaction is pure emotion. When you're dealing with something like trying to navigate love, there is no logic that really comes into play. I mean, people might argue with that, but I mean, I would argue that any sort of logic you're trying to throw into it is still based on the emotion of love that you're trying to get from this other person. And so that in itself is madness, is irrational, and any type of reasoning you try to throw on it kind of makes no sense, That's why I think people have a tough time describing what they love about somebody. That's always such an odd question. What do you love about me? Or even what you like about somebody. What do you like about me? I don't know. Your personality is interesting. You make me laugh. You're beautiful. Whatever. These things, they all sound cliche, and people always seem to, want to hear something different than they've heard before. But there's nothing else different to say because there's no words, at least in our language, anyways, that seem to really be able to convey how you feel about somebody that you're in love with. I think you can really only do it through action, and even action can be tough sometimes because I know I look back on times I've been in love, and some would say that the way I acted in certain scenarios would mean that I didn't love that person anymore because I wasn't putting an effort into the relationship that somebody who loved that person would be. The effort thing is probably true. The love thing is definitely not true. So. And I can't explain why the effort plummeted. Those types of things are they're more personal. I think they're more inside the person that's failing than they are in the person that is being failed. I think that's usually kind of obvious, and it's hard. And I sympathize with the person on the other side who has to watch a loved one, lose themselves and wonder what they're going to do about it. You want to stick by somebody you love, for as long as you can, but at a certain point, if they're giving up on your relationship or their own, they're giving up on themselves in some way, it can be difficult to stick around people like that. But that doesn't mean that the people like that have lost their love for you necessarily. Again, it's just another irrational reaction to the pursuit of something, and whatever that is, only that person knows. And in a moment of like personal crisis, probably that person doesn't know, and that can make it all the more difficult for somebody that loves that person, to try and maintain a level of happiness and a level of satisfaction with themselves and with their relationship. Because I mean, if a person's not satisfied with themselves, not happy with themselves, how can they project that into other people? Like, it's impossible. And you become just like a shitty person to be around. And so I kind of lost my train of thought and just kind of ripped on myself a little bit, I guess. But that's okay. That's kind of what these things are for, a little self-reflection. We'll probably cut it there for today. Let's take a look back at the quote. Brought to us again by Friedrich Nietzsche. Love and or madness potion. Side effects depend entirely on another person's undeterminable feelings for you. That is Friedrich Nietzsche, Love and or Madness Potion, bringing us the quote, there is always some madness in love, but there is also always some reason in madness. That is Friedrich Nietzsche, bringing us our quote today. Hope everybody liked it. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at the.slack.line and Twitter at slackline_radio. We are, you are here with the boss.
The boss is coming! That's a made-up, dumb fairy tale name, you
And we will be back tomorrow again with another quote. And I hope everybody has a good day. Bye for now.